afternoon, officially, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are thrilled to have you with us today, and you are in for a real treat. Before we get started, I'd love to introduce myself and High Profile. I'm Callie Miller, and I'm part of the client services team at High Profile Staffing. And for those of you who do not know High Profile, we are a Dallas-based staffing firm specializing in administrative, accounting, finance, and human resource placement here in the Dallas Metroplex. So if you are currently looking to add top talent to your team, or if you might be envisioning yourself in a new career, in administrative, accounting, finance, or HR sectors, we would love to be a resource to you on that journey. Now, we are going to get started today. We are utilizing meeting mode. And so what I wanted to point out is that we have a chat and reactions available. So we want to encourage everyone here today to utilize the chat window, to utilize your reactions, to participate and be actively involved in this meeting. Many of you are familiar with Kim, and if you're not, you're going to learn quickly today that she is an incredible presenter, and she really enjoys interacting with the audience. So if you can turn your camera on and hop on your chat and pop off of mute and be able to interact, it's going to make this even a more enjoyable event than it's already going to be. So those are the housekeeping pieces there. Also wanted to mention what you can kind of expect. So after today's presentation, within the next 24 hours, you're going to receive a link to our online survey, and we truly value your honest feedback. So please complete that survey. It just takes a minute or two. Let us know what you thought about today and what you would like to see in the future. That'll help us as we plan our events. And I would love to mention our next webinar, which is taking place on March the 3rd next week. We'll be talking about COVID vaccines in the workplace. Really hot topic right now. If that's something that you are dealing with as a leader in your current workplace or interested in learning more about, we invite you to join us for that. You can learn more about that by visiting highprofilestaffing.com and clicking on our events tab. All the details are there and you can register. Now, back to this event. Within the next 48 hours, you are actually going to receive a link that will include like a FYI, like, hey, here are all the resources. They're ready to be downloaded. It will include not only a recording from today's session, but all of the handouts, as well as a recap from the event. So be on the lookout for that. And without further ado, I am ready to introduce our presenter today, Kim Zoller, who is CEO and founder of ID360. Now, I have to say, you guys, Kim is an incredible leader, mentor, and friend. She's somebody that I have personally admired for many years now. And as I was thinking about today's presentation, I was thinking that you all are really here with a true expert about visioning and visioning your career and what you aspire to do, because some of you may not know this fun fact about Kim Zoller, but she is actually an alumni employee of High Profile Staffing. She started her career 30 years ago in the recruiting industry and worked for High Profile. And Kim had aspirations to do what she is doing today, what she's been doing for 30 years at ID360. And she spoke that vision out and she said, this is what I want to be doing. And here she is today and has made it a reality and a very successful one. Now, Kim at ID360, her organization works with hundreds of companies globally in these 5 areas, and probably more than that, but they kind of encompass these areas. So leadership training and mindset, C-suite development, developing a conscious culture, performance and executive coaching, among other things. And so she is an incredible, incredible resource. And so you all are in for a treat. So please join me in welcoming Kim Zoller to the camera, and she's going to take it from here to talk to us about our visions.
Okay. All right. So hi, everyone. And if you could, as Callie said, open your cameras up. That is always awesome. I love that if you feel comfortable to do that. So the first thing that as we get started with visioning is that it's very easy to look at something like a vision board and think, okay, this is just a fun arts and crafts project. And so I just want to talk about what it is and where we want to end up. And I do have a deck, and you are going to get some really great materials, and I want to talk through them. I want you to take a minute just to think about something that you have thought about or done in your life that you had an idea And then you decided, let me think about that idea. And it seemed, it seemed fun, or it seemed exciting, or it seemed like something that you really wanted to do. And it came from something. It just came from a thought. And then all of a sudden you look back and you say, I can't believe that thought actually came to fruition. So I'm just curious, as we get started, can any of you think about something that you've done that has happened like that? Anyone want to share? You can either share in the chat, or you can actually unmute. Any thoughts?
All right, Kim, I'll go. I'll share.
Do it.
So as you all know, I just said I worked for High Profile Staffing, and I started with High Profile back in 2006 and was quickly prompted and encouraged by my boss, Bronwyn Allen, to get plugged into a professional association and, get involved. Like, you need to get plugged in, start networking. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to do that. So I did, and I joined Dallas HR, which is a local SHRM chapter here in Dallas. And in 2007, I have documented where I told Bronwyn in my review that one day I would really like to be president of Dallas HR, that I really felt like that would be a really great opportunity, and how cool it would be to be so involved in your profession and be able to give back. And so this year I'm president-elect for Dallas HR, and next year I will be president of Dallas HR. So that to me is an example of what you're asking. That came to mind.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Callie. That is really cool. That's really, really cool. All right. So let me know if anyone else wants to share. I'm looking for any other hands. And I just, I want you just to take a minute to think about something that you have done. Our visioning could be small, it could be large, and it could change. And when we think about what visioning is, it does start with sometimes a very crazy concept. So for my business, I just want to just go a little bit with what Callie said, and that is that 30 years ago, well, more than 30 years ago now, I was at High Profile, and I saw a speaker who was speaking, and I said, I want to be just like her. And I went up to her actually, and I said, and I started crying, and I said, I want to be just like you. And she looked at me and she said, why don't you call me in a couple of months? And this is a story that actually, now the next part of the story, a lot of people don't know. What happened realistically, I'll tell you the next part about her in a second. What happened realistically was that Bronwyn, who's not on here, who is the owner, CEO of High Profile, was my boss. And I called her immediately and I said, Bronwyn, I know what I want to do. And she said, go for it. And within a week, she called me and she said, I have a mentor for you. So I realized that starting to talk about things and putting it out into the universe, however you want to look at things, is, for me, it's putting an energy out into the universe. So that's where it started. I want to tell you the funny part of the end of that story with that woman is that speaker. I was all of like 22 years old. I happened that night to be shopping at the Galleria Mall. I said to my husband, David, at the time, I said, I have to get new shoes because I have to look really good tomorrow for this conference that I had heard her speak at and I was working at. And we went into the store, this dress store, and lo and behold, that same person who I had cried to earlier in the morning was there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then she saw me and she ran into a dressing room. And I know, right? And then she was there with her husband, who's part of her business. And I was with David and I was like, oh my God, she's there. And anyway, I was knocking at the door, right? And she would not answer the frickin' door. I mean, what? So what's so funny about that, as I sit here and I actually tell this story, which I have not thought about or told in so many years, you know what it occurs to me? It occurs to me that it's exactly what, it just had like a link for me, that it occurs to me exactly what I wrote on that LinkedIn post, which is, oh, it's for something else, but that sometimes that window of that closes, or we think that closes, is actually a door into much larger opportunities. And truly, I had begged her to work with her. I had begged her, I said, I will work for you for free. And she pretty much shut me down. And it was the luckiest door closing of my life. So as we think about our vision, I want us to just today to think about, as I teach you about going into this idea of vision boarding to actual mapping out our goals, to realize that things are going to come your way that are going to stand in your way. And you're going to look at your board or your goals and you're going to say, what do I do now? And you're going to say, it's a gift. It's a gift. Because every time something like that happens, you have a choice. You can either keep fighting. And people do this all the time. They don't know that, it's like their ego gets so attached that they don't know when to give up. And so there's that fine point between giving up that ego and saying, wait, I have another path to get me there. I have another area, another way to get there. And then all of a sudden something else opens up. So please, as we start to think about this, there may be something that is sticking in your mind that you're saying, you know, I really I have a vision to do X, whatever it may be. And I've tried it before and it hasn't worked. Okay. So there's been a lesson in that. If that is still your vision, please don't shut it down. Just think about today that there's another pathway, there's another door that is going to open. Okay.
Yeah. Kim, this is Majadi. How are you? Hi, ladies. Hi, gentlemen. How is everyone today?
The camera.
I'm actually just trying to close with dealing with a client.
Okay, fine.
So I'm trying to participate while I can, but just in listening to what you were saying in terms of an example, I have a great one I think is interesting. So one of the things that I wanted to learn how to do was to do the stock market. And so I took some time, took some classes, so on and so forth. And instead of, I have Fidelity, I have a few other brokers and things like that, but I really wanted to understand for myself how to handle my own investments and just how to play with it. So the interesting thing when you were saying things happen, I know that I've learned in life, my daughter's 22 years old now. So just that life lessons, wisdom, all that stuff, you learn how to be more of an observer versus responding to everything. You just kind of let things happen. So back in April, when I started getting involved, okay, I'm gonna start investing, right? So I actually got into GameStop and I was able to get stock at $5.60 per share. And so I just did it because I was like, well, I love GameStop. I've always had to purchase things from there. We would trade out games, for the Wii or whatever they had at the time or what have you. And I was like, this is a brand that I like, so on and so forth. So as I'm playing in this, as you guys know, a couple of weeks ago, it went up. And I had no idea that there was a Discord. I didn't know anything about that. But my prayer and the thing that I wrote out was, in terms of visualizing things, is I don't have time. I'm not an octopus, right? I don't have 50 million arms. I'm just one person. I'm building my own business at the same time. And I'm a mom and I'm a woman and all these things. But I definitely want to be present. I would like to be able to win. I would like to be strategic and position myself accordingly. And just open up those doors, close the ones that are not for me, And sure enough, on January, the day that it counted, I'm looking at my accounts and I'm paying attention and I'm like, oh my God, like
That's
we're making money. And then I'm hearing all this stuff. I'm getting all these hits and the media and all this stuff is going on. And I'm learning, okay, this is a Discord. Wait, what's going on? Let me. So I came up. I definitely came up. I cashed out. And I was just so encouraged to be a part of history. And the fact that I got beyond my fear and that I took that leap to even learn. So it helped me to understand what to do, how to go about it. And it made me inquire even all the more and to be excited about profit and loss and just all the good stuff. So that's a win for me. And that is something that I visualized and prayed for.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. That is an awesome story. And shame on me. They're one of my clients. I should have done the same. Okay. Okay. So where I want to start, I want to just share my screen for a moment. And if you're not at a screen, I'm going to read this. And then we're going to do some visualization, and we're going to talk about where it starts us and where it leads us to. So dreams without a plan are only wishes. Dreams broken down into goals are what make dreams come true. Goals give our life meaning, a sense of purpose and fulfillment. The secret to setting goals is knowing why you want something. If you cannot come up with a strong why, then you probably don't really want it. Your why comes from within and becomes your fuel for action. If your goals aren't congruent with your core values, you will continually sabotage yourself, or you may achieve your goals, but you won't feel fulfilled. Creating goals from your heart and not your head is essential for living a fulfilling, well-rounded life. We often look outside ourselves for what we think we want, but we need to consult our hearts rather than our minds to find what we truly desire for our lives. Otherwise, down the track, you may end up with a whole lot of things in your life while missing what you're really looking for: happiness and fulfillment. Goals can be big or small, but most of all, they must be meaningful to you, or you won't have the drive to achieve them. So as we get into this, it is so critically, Monica, of course, will send it to you. It is so critically important to really think about what it is that we want. Otherwise, we can end up day to day just being extremely busy and not being able to look at the end of a year and say, what have I accomplished? What have I done? What makes me feel really proud of myself? And so today I want to, this is something that this is a Tony Robbins thing, and I am all about Tony Robbins. So I want to start with it because it really is so important. When we visualize, and I'm going to take you through a few different things today that I've just done for myself. So, which is something I do every year. You check in with, what's your state? So when you are doing your vision board, if you feel like you're not in a great state, then you have to get yourself into a great state. So what does that mean? It means that you get up and you dance to your favorite song. It means that you just take a breath and think about, forget everything that's happened in your life. I used this analogy this morning, and it's so true. Our rear view mirror is this big. Our windshield is this big. Look forward. Look for what we're doing. Yes, this is teaching us things. It is also this small. So what is our state? And the state tells a story. So if I put things on my vision board that I don't think really are going to happen, then it's a waste of your time. And that's why that why is so critically important. And then you can build a strategy around it, which is why this visioning and this vision board is not just arts and crafts. Yes, it's so much fun. It is very therapeutic. There is something very important in our minds that when we see something, we are able to create it. And something to think about is I want you to look around your room right now, wherever you are sitting, whether you're in an office or you are in your home office or wherever you are. I want you to just look around. And what I want you to look for is something. It could be anything, you guys. Anything that you look for, whether it's a lamp, a picture. Okay, I have something that I think is genius. How cute are these Kleenex little things that they came up with? So here's the deal. Someone had to think about this. And here it is sitting on my desk. Someone had to think about it from an idea that they got from someone else that built on another idea, that built on another idea, that built on another idea. And I bet you that someone went to work one day and said, you know what? I'm sick of those ugly boxes. Could we not have something pretty on our desk or whatever in our house? And so they came up with those. I just want you to look around, and whatever you're looking at, realize that it wasn't there. And it wasn't there maybe a year ago, 5 years ago. Maybe the design is something new, whatever it is. So realize that any single thing can come to fruition. It has to just come to your mind. And that's where starting with our state, our story, how we build that is so important. This is just setting the stage, and then we'll get to it. I also want to talk about that when we are building our vision, it is critical that we are in a place of gratitude. So what I'd like everyone to do is I would like you to write down 3 things, specific things right now. You can write them down wherever you're sitting. You can write them in the chat. I want you to write down 3 specific things that you are grateful for in the last 24 hours. If you say something like your health, be more specific. I want you to say you got up and worked out, or you are breathing really well today, or whatever it may be, or you had like the most delicious cup of coffee this morning. 3 things that you are grateful for in the last 24 hours. For those of you who know me, you know that this is such a big thing for me, waking up every morning and doing this. I start with this when we vision, because if we cannot be grateful for the things that are happening and we get stuck in this place of the bad things are happening to us, it is very difficult to actually approach our state story strategy with zest and excitement and go-getter, because we create actually a pillow of doubt. So if you want to write in the chat, what you're grateful for, I think that would be awesome. And I love it. I love it. And Karen, I love that. I even want you to be more specific. Today, no one is sick in my family. I'm so grateful in the last 24 hours that no one got sick in my family. That today there is beautiful moisture in my hair. You see, so that's what I want you guys to think about. It's very easy, because otherwise what happens is our mind works differently, and every day after day, we don't track it, and we are really trying to prime our brain. When we are visioning every day, when we sit down and look at our vision boards, once you make them, that is what we're doing every single day. Okay, so thank you. Good. And again, I just want you to see, I'm looking at your gratitudes, and I love it. And Majadi, I think even to you, like, make it so specific, 24 hours, so specific. Callie, I love that. I mean, I love all of them. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I want you very purposefully to be very specific, because there's a reason that our brains track for that. Okay. And we prime into visioning. So let's talk about our end. Where's our end? What's our outcome? Because that's really what we want to know. What's our outcome? All right, well, this is the outcome. The outcome is that I'm creating a very intentional vision board that is about grace, about gratitude, about where I see myself. It is not about stopping myself with realistic, like, well, I don't think I can do that. We're going to put that aside, all of that aside. This is something that you're going to get in the handouts. And what it is we created this as a guide. So what does it start with? It starts with you in the middle. And I'm going to show you what I do, because what I do is I put pictures of myself. I put pictures of my little self when I was a little girl, because my little self can sometimes really direct a lot of what I do now. And I want to make sure that my big self is helping my little self know that I've got this. And that's important to me. I put my friends around me. I'm going to show you mine in a second. And then I think about all these specific areas of my career, my financial, my health, my relationships, what's important to me, my spiritual. So you can see that this is where we want to end up. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment, because I'd like to show you my vision board, and then we're going to put it into action. So I know this is kind of hard because you can't really totally see it. Hey, North Dakota folks, I finally finished it. So let me just share with you that can you guys see this? I start in the middle. Okay.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, my watch is having trouble hearing me. I start in the middle. I start with myself. I have my spiritual at the top. I have relationships here. I go down. A lot of you know that my kids live in Israel, so that's a big part of my life. My mindfulness is a big part of my life. You know, as I'm getting older, I realize I have very few material wants or needs. So maybe, well, you know, as far as wants goes, I want to travel. Debbie, you know, we share our love for hiking. It's on there. Always. So what did I do? I put the two places that if I could go this year, it would be outstanding, which are India, which I love India. And I've never been to Greece. So that I put on there because that's my bucket list. I come back to the top and I have my mission. I want to show you what I did, and I'm going to walk you guys through this, just creating ideas. I wrote down a mission for who I am as a person. I then wrote down and what I want to put into the world. I then wrote down a mission for how I want to be in relationships, because it's different. It's a different energy for me. And that's what I want you to think about for you, that you may have a different vision for what you're doing and putting out into the world. And I'm happy to share it if you guys want to hear it. And how you want to be at home in your relationships. It's still the same person. You would hear the same thing. But where I'm a driver in my business life, I don't want to do that at home. It doesn't work for me. And it doesn't really work for the people around me. So I have to really think about that, because that's truly a vision for me, and is to know and be aware of the difference. And then I have all my work stuff. And then I have my health. I have my health of my Peloton obsession. Strong body, strong mind. Okay. So the reason I'm showing you this, I know it's very, very difficult to see. And I'm happy to show you my picture of it so you can see more clearly. I want you to know where you're ending up, because sometimes you're like, wait, where are we ending? Okay. I'm going to stop there, and then we're going to start at the beginning on how to get there, and then how you then turn that into goal mapping. So are there any questions before I move on? Okay, so we're moving on. Ready? Ready? Hand, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay. I got, thumbs up. Yeah. All right. Okay. Are we all good? Yes. Okay. And are you loving this? Yeah. Okay. I'm just checking. All right. Okay. So with that, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start from the beginning of really thinking about where that vision is. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you my, the PowerPoint one more time, because I want to talk about just some things to think about as we go into this. I'm going to take you through a little bit of a visualization. There are so many areas of our lives. Not every single thing has to have 100% in it. In fact, if it did, it would be a really difficult life. So we have to figure out where our balance is, what's important to us, what's going to help us, what's going to help other people. It is also a good idea to say, you know what, I've spent so much time on, I've spent so much time figuring out my contribution to society, and now I really need to take care of myself. Or maybe I've done the opposite. Maybe I've spent so much time in my business and career that I really haven't taken care of myself and my romance, or whatever it may be, with my spouse, or finding one, you know, not finding one, letting them happen to come up. So I want you just to be aware that this circle is made up of our lives of so many different things. And again, you're going to get all of this. Okay. And please stop me. So as we go through the visualization, just keep this in mind, that we have all these different areas, and there's nothing to get overwhelmed with. It's just saying, this is my priority. This is my priority this year. And then you're going to get a questionnaire. And the questionnaire for me is a great way to start before your vision board. And that is these questions. What's your purpose? What is your true purpose in your world, And who are you? What are you about? To your core, what are you about? What are your values? How do you want to, how are you going to show up this year? What characteristics, qualities, behaviors? Realizing that we are not our emotions, we are not our behaviors. We get to create what we know we are inside, and sometimes they haven't aligned. So how can we use our vision boards and our goals to help us get there? So again, behaviors that don't help me with my vision. Maybe it's not staying focused. Maybe it's playing on social media too much. Maybe it's not being present when I should be present. Maybe it's not having a plan. Could be any of those. Who and what do I want to surround myself with? Spiritual growth. It's going to be, you're going to have a questionnaire that's going to take you through all these areas, and you can answer that. So that's where we're heading. And as we go into this, that's what I want you to think about, is that we're not just doing an arts and crafts project. We are really, truly taking time to visualize for ourselves where we see everything. So if you are not a visualization person, play along. And if you are, you will love this. And I hope you'll love it anyway. You can keep your camera on, or you could turn it off for a moment. It is totally up to you. What I would like you to do is I would like you to put your feet flat on the floor. Like you to put your feet flat on the floor. And I would like you to put your hands to your side and just sit up straight and close your eyes. Close your eyes and just take a breath and just be here now, knowing that, yeah, you've got other things going on. But right now, you are taking care of yourself, because those things will keep coming in and in and in and in and in and in and out if we let them, and when we let them, because that's life. That's life. And if we're not careful, we get so caught up in all those little things of happening all around us that all of a sudden is the end of the day. It is the end of the week. And you say to yourself, what happened? It's the end of the day. It's the end of the week. It's the end of the year. What did I do? Oh my gosh, it flew by. If we're purposeful and intentional about it, we could look at the day and say, oh, that feels good. The day, the month, the year. I know what I did because I was intentional about it. And so as we close our eyes and we just take a breath, I want you to visualize yourself walking out of a door And visualize yourself walking out through your door and coming across this very, very beautiful field of wildflowers. And in that field of wildflowers are just beautiful flowers of all different colors. I want you to imagine all the colors that you love. Yellow, purple, pink, whatever those colors are. Breathing, seeing those colors. And now as you walk through these beautiful flowers, I want you to think about your favorite place where you either have been or would like to be, where you could go and just sit. Maybe it's the top of a mountain, maybe it's a beach, maybe it's your backyard, maybe it's looking at a sunset. And just take yourself and put yourself there in that space. And then as you are sitting there so comfortably here, looking at the beautiful surroundings, the surroundings that you love, that make you feel at home. I want you to imagine that as you look ahead, you see this giant screen coming out of nowhere. And on that screen, you see yourself. And as it's playing like a movie, as you are observing this, I want you to think about that we are in December. In fact, it is December 31st at 11:59. And you're so happy that you've actually stayed awake because you get to celebrate this year. And know that whatever comes your way, that you have been intentional. So as you're looking at that screen, it's taking you through all the things that you have accomplished this year. And I want you to start. We're going to start together. And I want you to start by putting your hands on your heart and thinking about what you have been most grateful for this year. And it's the end of the year. And what have you been most grateful for that you have been able to do for yourself? For yourself. Maybe it's your workout, that you were able to accomplish something in your physical routine that made you stronger, and you are so grateful. And maybe it's something in your spiritual routine that you have a connection to your higher power, whatever you believe in. And as you take that breath, you see yourself at the end of this year saying, oh, I'm so grateful that I made an intention to connect with myself, and I did it. And as you look on that screen, what did you do? What did you do? See it as clearly as a movie that is playing on a TV, on a screen, on a giant movie screen. And then think about your relationships and what you have done to nurture your relationships. Possibly seeing at the end of this year the 5, maybe 10 people that you have connected with most, that you have gone out of your way, that you have done something with, that you are very intentional about building those relationships. And maybe it's about building a relationship with someone new. or rebuilding a relationship with someone existing in your life. What does that look like? What does that look like? And don't worry about the how you got there. Look and see what it looks like. Visualize yourself sitting with that person, and it doesn't even have to, that person doesn't have to have a face. I want you to feel what it feels like to have built this incredible relationship. And knowing that you are able to build this incredible relationship with someone else because you have also focused on yourself. I want you to visualize what you have accomplished in your career, that you really wanted to do and you made it happen. And now I want you to see yourself celebrating that. Vision yourself celebrating that. And maybe there's money attached to it. Maybe there's a prize, an award. Maybe there's this internal satisfaction. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's a change. You made a change. You knew you could do it, and here you are, and you've done it. It's here, it's now. And you see yourself talking to people who said you couldn't do it, and you just crack up. And you see yourself in this place, and you just laugh and think, I did it. I did it. And here you are visualizing this on the screen. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I am so grateful for all of this. And then thinking about other things in your life, maybe a place that you want to go and you were able to because either you got the vaccine or things opened up. Oh my gosh, thank God that I got to go there. And experience yourself going on that walk, that hike, that ocean, whatever it is, if that is something that is important to you. Maybe it's something that you're doing with your kids, that you're helping them with. Again, I want you to see yourself at the end of this. The vision, the possibility. Do not let yourself stop when you start thinking about the how that will come. You know, you trust in your heart that in the vision that will come. And see this on the screen. And whatever else has come to you, just see it playing out. And you are so grateful that all of this has happened. And other things may have happened too. There may have been things, closed doors, but boy, they were just the right thing for the next opportunity. And saying, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that that door was slammed so that it could open up another bigger, more beautiful door. And breathe into that. Place your hands down and just open your hearts, looking at that giant screen of your movie, of yourself, of your visions playing out. Seeing it as clearly as though you were experiencing it today. And keeping that in your hearts and your mind. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. I want everyone to take a moment, and I want you to please write down every single thing that you just saw. So I'm just going to leave the music on, and I just want everyone to write down. And don't judge it, write it. Just write it down. So you're going to keep hopefully writing down. And this is where we start. We start with all of those ideas. And then as soon as we finish and you get the handouts from High Profile, you'll see that there are some very intentional things that we can continue to really look at and say, what does this really look like? So it's interesting because I have been doing this with teams, and some of you are on here that we've been doing it since December. And I couldn't wrap my arms around what I really wanted to get to for myself. So I sat down for myself and I said, what is my mission statement for myself? And I did that. I wrote down what my mission statement was. And then of course I've made it pretty. And then because I wanted it on my vision board. And then I sat down and I thought, my coach actually said to me, Kim, do you realize that your mission for yourself in this world is not a mission that you want in your relationship? And I thought, wow, that's interesting. He said to me, go and put yourself in the state of how you have felt in the best relationship. And so I did. I put myself into that state. And then I wrote a relationship mission statement. And what I realized in doing this is that how I am in what I give to the world, how I am even as a mother, it's different. And I want to show up, it's the same Kim, I just want to show up a little differently. I want to be aware and intentional of that, because ultimately it is how I'm going to make other people feel. So and when I finally did this last week, I was able, because of this wonderful snowstorm, I was able to sit down and actually do my vision board, because it gave me clarity. So that's why I'm saying to you, take the time. This does not have to be the prettiest thing. I find a lot of things on Pinterest. I know a lot of you have magazines. I know a lot of people say, I don't have any magazines around anymore. So you don't have to have magazines, just have a printer and have Pinterest and you'll find good stuff. And when you get the handouts, it will guide you. There's no right or wrong. Here's what I want you to do. And this is what I want to really clarify before we open it up to questions. Your vision statement, every single day, what we know is that when we look at our goals, even if I don't have an action plan of what I'm doing every day, when I actually look at my goals, my mind will actually keep taking me there and tracking. We know this. It is a fact of how our brains work. Our brains cannot differentiate between what is real and what is not. When we imagine things are happening, I mean, think about this. When have you been able to put yourself into a state of complete just depression? All I have to do is think about my kids getting hurt. I am seriously like in a place of, it's the worst place I could ever go. And the minute I think about something else, change my state. So when our minds don't know, they don't differentiate. And when we truly know that, we are visioning. If you can just be in that place of, wait, I know this happened because it's not meant to happen this way. Now let me figure out another way how to get there. This is my goal and my vision. Please keep in mind too, there are things that have come from my vision board from 2 years ago that are on my vision board today, that they're not, for instance, for me, being in Israel is very, very important, spending a lot of time there. I'm not there as much as I would like to be right now. It is my vision for what I do every day to build so that I can be. So this doesn't have to be like, okay, if I don't have something by the end of the year, I'm done. No, it's a build on. I'm doing what I can because I know that that is my long-term vision. So that's the thing with the vision board. And then The next thing is that we then can sit down and take each one of those things that we vision, and we can say, okay, what are all the things that I can do to make that happen? And then, of course, sticking to that every day is the challenge. That is the next step. That is the next step. And if anyone wants to, we have to do that as our next session, then we can do that. So let me open it up to questions. Any questions? How about any thoughts or any feelings or any ahas? Yes.
Question. I feel good after this. I love the visualization technique, and just going through that exercise firsthand was great. How do you deal with if you, for some reason, at the end of this year, 2021, you don't do what you thought you were going to do or you intended to do? How do you deal with not feeling, kind of bummed out or discouraged by that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Okay, so what I did is I took the things that were still important to me, and I peeled them off and I stuck them on here. And I said, they're still important. Or I looked at it and said, you know what's really interesting? Not so important. I didn't have a big enough why. It's like that thing that I read you at the beginning. I didn't have a big enough, like deep in my heart reason why I wanted to do that, especially when hard times come. So something else came up for me. Like Kristen, this year, with all the mindfulness and meditation, that happened to me. I would have never thought, that would have never been on my vision board at the beginning of last year, ever. And then, you know what? Life happened. COVID happened. North Dakota happened, and so it changed. And then you get to say, oh, that's so interesting. It's like, it's like the beginning, with Majadi, what she said, what we focus on with mindfulness is becoming the observer of that and saying, there's no shame in this. I just reprioritize something else. Or, you know what? I still really want to. Let me figure out if it's big enough, if there's a big enough why. So thank you for asking that, because I think it's a really, really good question, because we can do a lot of beating ourselves up. We're so good at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Kim, I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that if something comes up on your vision board and you don't create it and you put it on the next year's vision board, so it sounds like you're creating one every year or changing it every year. Am I hearing that correctly?
I am. I do. I sit down every year and I reevaluate where it is. I mean, I have to tell you, Monica, if you looked at my vision board from last year or just through the years, I mean, this year, like we've done this a lot, like with my North Dakota group. I want to tell you, as far as like my spiritual life, I don't think that was never, I mean, yes, it's always important to me. I don't think that was ever at the top of my board, where I said, okay, you know what? I have to really, like, this is most important in my value system. So I'm not judging it. I'm just saying, like, okay, so here I am. That's where it is. So I do look at that. And last year there was something else that was most important. And things happen in our lives. So yes, it's changing. You're an ever-changing person, and we allow ourselves to open up to that space. There's so much more potential. So much more potential. So thank you for asking that too.
So I have a question to
Yeah.
kind of piggyback on that. Does it have to be annual? If you see that it changes, my apologies. If you see that it changes, 2-3 months from any given moment, can you change it then? My thoughts were like using a cork board or a pinup board, something like that, because as you grow, hopefully, you have your, learning and growth.
Yeah.
That may change earlier than, at the end of the year.
100%. it is really, yes. And that's why, like, I left the whole bottom open, because I'm like, you know what, something might come up. Something might come up, and your reasons for your why might change. The main thing with the vision, Vicki, is that it isn't, what we don't want it to be is we have daily things that come up. This is a bigger picture of our, you know, our whole being, of where we are. And so you'll find that some things will change. Some things might change a lot, some things won't, and some things will carry on. And here's the thing, again, pigging onto that and saying the same thing that I was saying with Monica's question, which you bring up another good point. We have to be open. And if it changes in a month, it changes. Oh, okay, I see it. I see that was just, that actually, that vision got me to the next vision. That's exactly what it is, you know? I was telling the story this morning about, thanks, Linda. I was telling the story, and then I know we have to hop, about the Swiffer, and about how the Swiffer came to be, and how someone had a vision. They were trying to create the greatest mop. And the salesperson, they had door-to-door sales. And I'm forgetting who, if it's Black & Decker, I can't remember who owns the Swiffer. But basically what happened was that the salesperson went to someone's house, and they were sitting there, and the person spilled something, and they were just having a conversation, and this was just they quoted, like, to say a housewife. I don't even know if that's a term anymore. I don't even know. So anyway, they took their paper towel and they stuck it on the bottom of the mop, and they cleaned, or on the bottom of something, and they cleaned something up so that they didn't have to reach down. And the whole point, well, all of a sudden this person's like, oh my gosh, a Swiffer. You stick something on the bottom, you clean it, you throw it away. What an ingenious idea. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with visioning, is realizing that one door opens another, opens another, opens another. And isn't it great that we're working towards these things? If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach me, reach out. You're going to have all the materials. Reach out to me, reach out to High Profile. And I know, Callie, you would like to close it, because we got some good prizes.
Yes. And I can actually take over too, Callie, if you want to show your screen. So we have a couple great prizes for everybody. So anybody that is currently on right now is eligible to win these prizes. So the two prizes that they're so generous to give to us today are, one person will win the ID360's Mindful Rewiring course. And then one other winner is going to win the ID360 Coaster and Pinch Me Therapy Dough, which sounds so much fun. So that's awesome. And Kim, do you want to explain anything about the Mindful Rewiring course at all? Oh, Callie has them.
Yes. So the Mindful Rewiring course is basically, it's data and research on mindfulness and mindset, and they're micro lessons every day. There are 21 days. You do not have to do them consecutively. There are 21 days of data research, of bringing mindfulness into our lives, thinking about mindset, and then a meditation as well, and with over 50 resources, activities, things to do for yourself, for your team, for your families. So that's that.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. And then I'll go ahead and share my screen. So Callie, I'll let you stop sharing, and then go ahead and share my screen here. So we're going to do a wheel spin, and we have currently everybody that's on right now. We have you listed here. So you have to be present to win. So I'm going to go ahead and spin for the first prize of the Mindful Rewiring course. The winner is Majadi.
Yes! Woohoo!
Love the enthusiasm. Congrats, Majadi. We'll get with you.
I visualized it.
That's awesome. All right, this one's for the ID360 Coaster and Pinch Me Therapy Dough. And the winner is Vicki. Are you currently on? Yep, there you are. Congratulations.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations,
That's
you guys.
exciting.
And Callie has them right there, I see, which looks so much fun. Oh, I want some of that. That's awesome.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. We'll connect with both winners offline too to get your information and get that coordinated. And thank you guys all so much for coming. We so appreciate you joining us. And again, we'll be sending out a survey after this. So please give honest feedback and ideas for future topics too. We love your input. But thank you guys again for coming and have a great rest of your week.